as well as in Buddhism, right? As well as in Gnosticism, as well as in with Judaism, it may be that we're reaching the point where we might be able to say that the Neoplatonic tradition is the only, and you only need one, intellectual system in which each one of these things is partial reflections. And with the proper use of language, we can clear up whatever difficulties there are to bring them all together into a unity. That's where it's going. Isn't that nice?
Who's doing this work and where?
Yeah.
Well, that's where it's going. I don't know who's doing it. I mean, they're doing it in pieces, but I'm saying put them all together, and that's what's going on. So, he has a lovely account of it. If you went over it, you'd see that there are a couple of differences between the way I'm presenting it and what he's doing with it, but that's perfectly all right. You'll find something great in his work. Now, I think the idea of a common intellectual system that can bring the best of all of these systems as parts and yet can take them and order them and deal with their problems that they have, both historically and with the different competing schools, may bring peace in each of the different systems. And when they come together, you know what they'll be doing? They will be verifying Neoplatonic thought from their own traditions. And that might bring about the end of religious wars. Because wars only exist when the differences are so severe that people will die for that difference and defend it. What this does is reconcile the differences into a higher system.
Yeah, that doesn't reconcile economics. I think all wars are economic.
Oh, sure. I had that view once. No, I may still have it to some degree. Of course, some people fight for profit. Of course they do. Of course. Might as well make a buck on everything man does, to some people. Oh, yeah.
If there wasn't any profit, there wouldn't be any wars.
Yeah. By the way, there are some religious wars going on now where it's hard to believe that anyone's profiting, though. Would you agree? The mullahs in Iran.
But somebody has to pay for the bullets and the guns.
That's true. That's true.
Those are the ones who are making money.
That's true. But whether or not it has that as its basis, that's another question. By the way, then let's hope we can eliminate the profit makers as well. I'm not against it. So, that's what I wanted to show you tonight. That's where I think all of this is going. And therefore, you can see on the next page, I have nothing more to say.
Could you enlarge a little bit on Sri Aurobindo, seeing as this, I'm not really that familiar with Sri Aurobindo.
Oh, yeah. You can do quite a bit. See, Sri Aurobindo was trained in Western philosophy, Greek philosophy.
Who's this?
Sri Aurobindo is one of the great leading Hindu philosophers.
Is he still alive?
No. And what most people don't recognize or discuss the fact that his early training was all European Greek thought, not Greek enlightenment. And he was really schooled in it. His father wouldn't allow him to study anything Hindu until he reached maturity. He was a Hindu in England. His father resented his own traditions, wanted him to become educated and developed along the English pattern. And he had to recover it himself. By the way, the same as, to a lesser degree, but similar, Gandhi. Yeah. But it's had to be really a fine study. And I gave Dr. Harris downstairs a whole file of my notes on Aurobindo, which is kind of fun. I used to know a philosopher, Hindu philosopher, that was very much involved in Sri Aurobindo. In any case, one last thing. There is a movement, and it's a Journal of Western Cosmological Tradition, Alexandria, and it tends to bring together a lot of this material. So please, I'll leave it up here for you to see. And these are the books I wanted to take a look at. So, very well, thank you for...
There was another book you were looking for. Is that related to those?
Yes, it is. I was going, yeah, well, I had a Xerox copy. I wanted to get that quote, and I read from the Xerox copy I have on my table. I did want to bring the book out.
What was
But,
the book in the series?
pardon me?
What was the book in that series?
Rodier's article on, I don't know what they call the formal title to the article, but I can get it for you.
No, the article was in one of those books, right?
Yes,
Which
the
book
one
was
on
it in?
Neoplatonic thought and Hinduism.
Okay.
Hinduism.
All right.
And I should have kept the title in my notes, but of course I didn't. But it's the oldest tradition. He reports on the oldest tradition, which is the Abhidharma Kosha school. It's a very interesting paper. Good to look at. So thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
And you have two translations. One I got from a friend of mine, Rod Woolbank, and the other is Ellen Watts' translation. And I enjoy it. I enjoy Pseudo-Dionysius. I think he's the most important figure in Western European thought.
You say this is a forgery, though? Or,
Yes. You see, the problem with history is that it isn't well known that at one time Christianity and Hellenic thought were thought to have gone on parallel lines. And they had a common origin with Moses. Now, this was a view that was accepted in the 2nd century AD. And therefore, when the Greek texts came into Europe in the 14th century, they already believed that they were in a common tradition, and therefore they just used these writings and made it all part and parcel of the Christian tradition. Now, Dionysius, this chap that we're reading from, right? Dionysius was said to have been the companion of St. Paul. That's the way the writings are structured. Now, yeah, and he did all of his writings, and he provided the foundation for Christian metaphysics. St. Thomas Aquinas quotes him about 1,700 times in his writings, which is astonishing. Now, just one last thought. Now, therefore, he was accepted. He was accepted. Played a major role in developing Christian theology. And then in the 15th century, a chap by the name of Valla came along. Isaac Casabandu came along in the 17th century and looked at this whole argument and said, excuse me, there's something wrong with this. The dating is all screwy. None of these people could have been contemporaries. The dates paralleling the prophets and the early Greek philosophers don't match. And they thought Zoroaster was one of the people who were contemporary with Moses, and that didn't occur for many hundreds of years later, 1,000 years later, actually. So, therefore, this is a myth. Parallel lines are a myth. But Dionysius came along and did something even more remarkable. You see, pardon me, not Dionysius, whoever was the author of Dionysius, he took from Greek philosophers, primarily Proclus, 470 AD. Right? He took all of that writing and he infused it into Christianity, giving the appearance that the author was a companion of St. Paul. Therefore, later thinkers in Christian thought accepted him because they thought of him as being a companion of St. Paul, and that gave it a great deal of legitimacy. Therefore, through Dionysius came Proclus, and the Greek thought came pouring into Christianity. That made it intelligible. Now, Lorenzo Valla came along and said, excuse me, I have news for you. I made a close reading of Dionysius' writings, and I can prove that they're a forgery. Therefore, they rejected all of his writings. But when they rejected it, see, what they did is they rejected all the intellectual basis that made Christianity intelligible. So now you're left with